Hello, my name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr., and I was born July 4th, 1986. Today I want to talk about something that is very, very interesting when it comes down to getting a better understanding of knowing who God is and what He's all about and what He's looking for and what it is that we're supposed to be doing out here. I think a lot of times we're in the idea and the concept of we gotta do, go, and sometimes you come to realize like that's meaningless and that's pointless. So then what is the point? It's very interesting because it comes down to one of the most, I don't know, when I read this book, it just really hits me, and that's the book of Ecclesiastes. I had no idea what it was before I started reading it and getting a better understanding of it. I had no idea. Someone would hit me with a Bible verse from it, and a lot of times I'm like, actually, in reality, you're misrepresenting what's going on with that Bible verse that you just gave to me. And then again, a lot of times that I would hear someone talk about any kind of passage, any kind of story about it, and I'm like, it's not really a story. It's like the book of Proverbs. It's like the book of Psalms. It's just more wisdom for us to understand what truly does matter and what it is that we should be focusing more and more of our time on, and what we should just come to realize what really just is meaningless. It's something that it says that over and over about pretty much any and everything of the things that we as humans can do on this planet, on this earth. Everything that we do is meaningless. So he's like, what's the point? And this is coming from someone who has had beyond the riches, beyond the recognition, beyond the fame, beyond the glory, beyond of anyone that's ever lived. The beyond, say at that time at least. There's probably been some more interesting people since this time. But at this time, he was the one that had it all. The largest flocks, the largest amounts of gold, the best kingdom, the best everything, all of whatever possible that he could do, he had. And he, in reality, purposely put himself into doing more and more to figure out what does matter. What is the point? Because he goes through cycles of trying to figure out what's going on here, because he's trying to figure out what it is that's going to be able to bring that joy to him, bring that satisfaction to him, bring the fulfillment to him, bring the peace to him. But he comes to realize that everything he does is just meaningless. And I just want to start right up front with the first chapter and the first verse, or not the first verse, but the first title of the first verse, which is in Ecclesiastes, chapter 1. It's everything is meaningless. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Uttered meaningless. Everything is meaningless. It's very interesting, a book in the Bible, it's stating something like that, saying something like that, where it's just like we all have it in ourselves, where it's like what we do is so great and so wonderful and so meaningful. But in reality, everything is meaningless. Wisdom is meaningless. Pleasures are meaningless. He did everything to find any pleasure seeking possible. He slept with all the women. He slept with even men. He had everything that he could possibly desire. He had all the dancers. He had everything. He had anything and everything, and come to realize that none of it actually brought any fulfillment to him. That he would just get sick of it. He would just get, I don't care anymore. Like this isn't bringing what I need. It's very fascinating that he's going through all this to be able to just give us some wisdom of the future, of understanding that thinking that you're going to be able to have 100 wives and what does that guy have? What's his name? Samson? He had 700 wives and 300 concubines is going to be able to make him happy. I think you would realize after like the seventh wife that that's not bringing a satisfaction to you. But he just keep going and going and going and going and going. It's just, that's meaningless. You're not going to get what you're looking for with that. You're going to just keep stumbling and fumbling. And that comes down to pretty much any of the things that we do on this earth. On this earth are things that we're just doing just to kind of, in reality, just let time pass, to do something greater and have something greater. Toil is meaningless. So this is in the second chapter, the 17th verse. So I hated life because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it was meaningless, a chase after the wind. I hated all the things I had toiled and under the sun, because I must leave to the one who comes after me. He's just saying, we're working so hard to do everything. So you're a person I'm trying to collect all these items. I'm trying to get all this land. I'm trying to have all these houses and these Airbnbs. I'm trying to be able to have them all. To realize that someone is going to come and just take that after you leave. And he digs deep here because he's basically saying you're going to be doing all this work for your kids to take it, and then your kids to just not respect it and just be disobedient to it and just be foolish with it and just lose it and just nothing's going to come from it. It's very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. Because then we go into the 3rd chapter, the 1st verse, that I want to read some of this here because it's very, very interesting because it says that there's a time for everything. It's something that we should really, really understand more on. This is just interesting to me. It says there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search, a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. That's something that we should really, 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 really grasp and get a good understanding on, because not everything is supposed to be one way all the time. That there's seasons going on here. That sometimes you're going to be super excited and super blessed and just magnificent. Then there's going to be times that things are not going to be going so smooth for you, not so great for you. There's going to be times that it's time to really, really dig in and start to reap that harvest, to go to work, to start getting at it. And a time to just pump the brakes and just say, hold on a second, like we just did that, so let's take a little bit of a break here to get a better understanding of what it is that we're doing. So it's something that we should really, really know of when we're watching and seeing what other people are doing. When we see someone in their time of gathering, we should understand that maybe we're just in a time to spread. So we're not in the same time here. We're not doing the same stuff at the same time. We all have our different times. And we're all going to go through different times and different seasons and different challenges that are going to come to us. And that's something that I think is challenging a lot of us today, because of a lot of the social media that we're on the instance to be able to see. That in reality, someone across the other side of the world, they're in a completely, literally, they're in a different time than we are here. And if you're looking at what they're doing, we could be in a time of planting, and they're in the time of harvesting, because they're on the opposites of what we're doing. So if you're looking at them in their times of harvesting, you're just like, oh, why can't I have? They're always just getting, having, everything's so great, everything's so lush, it's so amazing, it's so great, they're cashing in, everything's good, and I'm just here, I'm just sitting around and nothing's happening. And then when your time actually does come down to time that you have to start harvesting, and then you're like, yeah, I got it all, I got this, and then you're looking over there at the other side, and you're almost like laughing at them now, because it's like, yeah, look at you, now I'm the one that's in time. And that kind of messes with a lot of people I know, because you're always, if you're looking for it, you can find it. And if you're looking for someone who's doing better, you'll find it. If you're looking for someone who's doing worse, you'll find it. And I don't know what it is, but I think that majority of people try to find the people that are doing worse than them, but you end up stumbling upon them doing worse for a moment, and then their time gets better. And then you start to get like, whoa, what's going on? Because my time isn't moving along like I see what theirs is doing. They're doing better, but I'm still here. They're moving along, but I'm still here. But you didn't see the time before when they were really, really hurting, when they were really, really struggling, when they were really, really damaged. So we need to really do our best to have a very good understanding of realizing that your time is your time. What's going on in your time is going on in your time. What's going on in your world with what's happening with you is you. Stop trying to compare yourself with someone else's time and with someone else's timeline. That I know a lot of people get a little enrageful, envious when you see like an 18 or a 20-year-old guy that is doing so much better than you when you're 50 or 60 years old. You're like, how did they get that by the time they were 18? And I've been working my entire life and I still can't have that. That's a different time here. We got differences of time that's happening here that we don't know everything that's going on. So don't try to put in assumptions of what you think is going on and what you think is happening and what you think is going down. Just live in your timeline. Live in where you are and what you are experiencing, so that you can figure out how to be able to, if you want to get out of the time that you're in, then worry more about that, as opposed to worrying how someone else is in a different time than you want to be in. It's something that is very, very, very interesting that we should definitely do our best to figure out how to be able to get out of. And it's just very interesting, because there's something here that we just continue to keep on going. And right here in the 5th chapter of the 8th verse, it says, riches are meaningless. If you see the poor oppressed in a district and the justice and the rights denied, do not be surprised with such things. For the officials is eyed but a higher one, and over them both and the other's higher skill. The increase from the land is taken by all, the kingdom by all, and the king himself profits from the fields. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth never is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they in the owner except to feast their eyes upon them? The sleep of the laborer is sweet, whether they eat a little or much. But for the rich, their abundance permits no sleep. It's very interesting. It's just all of this that just continues to keep going on. That he's saying to you, having it all isn't really having it all. Having little really isn't having little. And it's something that we have to, not should try. No, you should do, is get off of what someone else has. Get off what someone else is going through. Because there's one thing that I do know for a fact, is when someone else has more, you think you want that more isn't easy to deal with. That more isn't simple. That more starts to complicate things even more. To the point that sometimes that more that you think that you want, you're not even quite ready for that more because you don't know how to take care of what it is that you already have. And once you're able to take care of what it is that you have, then you're going to be able to have that more. But that more is not always better. If someone would say, oh, if I had more money, my life would be easier. And you'd be very, very sadly mistaken, because multiple times in this text alone states that. And not only just does this state this, but lottery winners state that, people that get large inheritance state that. Just the cycles of what goes on states that just having more money is not going to be able to bring the pleasures and the peace that you're looking for. It's going to bring more disastrous things to you. It's going to bring more chaos to you. It's going to bring more problems to you. Having more of anything, having more vehicles, having more children, having more animals, having more dresses, having more shirts, having more suits, having more shoes, all that is going to make things even more complicated for you. The more and more and more that you keep getting, the more that things start to get very, very sticky with what it is that you can do next. Something as simple as me being out here doing what I'm doing. The more that I keep getting, I realize moving to the next place I move to is not going to be so simple. Now things get even more complicated because I have to make sure that the next place is going to be able to withstand what it is that I have and be able to take what it is that I want to be able to grow into. So knowing that the next place I go to, it's going to be very, very complicated for me to, sorry, man. Did you drop that one? You'll be all right. You'll get it in a second. It's going to be very, very complicated because of the more that I have. And then I'm looking around like, man, I still wish that I had more. But then I'm like, hold on. The more that I already have is already more complicated. That if I keep on adding and keep on going, things are going to start to get to a point where it's just, it's meaningless. Because you start to just have to get rid of some stuff because you can't keep up with it. And that's something that I'm going to say is probably very, very, very disastrous more than anything else. Just the fact of having to get rid of because you have too much, because you can't take care of, because you just don't know what to do with it. And something is very interesting here, because I just want to go straight to the end, because he just goes through how much is meaningless, how much is pointless, how much is just don't even care, none of it matters, what's the point? And when you start to get to the understanding of realizing that having everything and having it all is not going to give you what you want, having nothing and barely being able to survive is still not going to get you what you want. But in the end, that was weird. In the end, he's going to state exactly what it is that's going to be able to give you exactly what it is that you want. And it's something interesting because it's the main thing that I always just want to continue to keep talking about. And it comes down to let me check that, 12th chapter to the 13th verse. This is something that is going to be the most interesting thing of all of this, and the most interesting thing of this Bible, and the most interesting thing that's just constantly said over and over and over and over and over and over. That today, I had to backtrack what I was thinking yesterday with what I was saying to just verify that, to realize like Jesus says this over and over, too many times, that we get stuck in, we think in one way, but there's an actual way that we should be going, a way that we should be doing. That Jesus came here for a specific reason, for a specific purpose. And that purpose wasn't to just allow us to just quit and give up and keep sinning and doing what we're doing and being forgiven. That is not at all what Jesus came here. And that's a very interesting message that's just being pushed like crazy today, that it's okay. You know, I can go out there and keep on committing adultery, and I don't know why I just go to adultery, because I don't know what that is, but I can just keep going out there and keep on stealing, and Jesus will just forgive me, and everything will be all right. And I could just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over again. And that is 100% false. That is not at all the life that you should be living. That's not at all the reason that Jesus came, to just keep letting you reset and keep going over and over and over again. That's not at all what's going on here. And if that's what you're doing, I'm telling you, I know you're living a very, very challenged, a very, very complicated, a very, very just hard life, because your mind is just going back and forth, and that mind going back and forth was that double-minded. You're starting to have real complications. And right here, I just want to read this in the 12th chapter, the 13th verse. It says, "Now, all this has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, everything hidden, whether it is good or evil." That is just the main thing that's stated over and over and over and over and over and over again, is to keep the commandments. And that's the same thing that Jesus was saying when he came here to every single person that was asking, how do I get closer to the Father? Keep the commandments. You keep the commandments. And he says, which commandments are greater than the other commandments? And he just starts listing the commandments. He just starts stating every single one of them. He didn't say that one was better than the other, one was least than the rest. No, he stated them all, saying that this is all in equal value here. If you want to break one, you're equally breaking all of them. There's not one that's greater than the other. They're all the same. And it's something that we should do and be all about on this planet, and having an understanding of realizing that that is the way that you're going to be able to find the peace that you're looking for on this planet. That is the way that you're going to be able to find the grace that you really, really are wanting on this planet. That's the way you're going to be able to find the faith that you really, really want to be able to be a part of on this planet. Not just believing in Jesus, you have to believe in Jesus and live by Jesus. Just believing in is one thing, but living by is a completely different situation here. That's something that we have no choice but to do. We have no choice but to lay our life down to the law and to the commandments. We have no choice. We have no choice but to obey them and stay as disciplined as absolutely possible, to stay close to them, knowing that if you know when you're doing wrong. You know the commandments are so black and white. There's no gray area, that when you're going against one, it's not like you're like, I'm not sure. No, you just are. And that's how simple it is, and I'm going to say, and how easy it is to really understand it. That when I say don't steal, it's not a matter of like, well, what if I do it like this, like this? No, if you think that you are, if it doesn't seem right to you, if you're just in this I'm unsures and going through this wishy-washies, don't do it. It's wrong. Don't be a part of it. It's wrong, because it's already inside of you to know what is right and what is wrong. It's already inside of you. And when you decide to I'm just going to do it, at first you get this like, I don't knows and I'm unsures. It always starts that way. And I'll just go to the most extreme one. The first time you murder somebody, you're going to be like, ooh, I did something wrong. I shouldn't have did that. That shouldn't have went down. But the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time, the sixth time, it's just going to get like, oh, this is just normal. This is just regular. And that's just what happens to us. So the first time that you go out there and that you're sitting there lusting upon and wishing that you had something that your neighbor had and wanting to steal what your neighbor has, the first time you do it, it's like, oh, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have been doing that. I shouldn't have been thinking about that. I should have refrained from that. I should have stayed away from that. But the more and more that you keep doing it, the more that this is just life. And that's where we're at today with everything that's going on, that we're just living in life, living in the ways of doing things that we should not be doing. And this is just normal. This is just regular. So when someone hits you with the information of actually saying to you like, whoa, man, you're not supposed to be doing that. You should be staying away from that. You're like, wow, what's wrong with this? We all do this. We've been doing this. This is just normal. And that's where we're running the complications of the lies that are going on. The lies of getting you to get further and further away from God. The lies of getting you to be more and more of the things of the world and the things that are out here. And the more that you're going to realize that once you get deep into the things that are out here, you realize that everything is meaningless. You realize that I can't ever get enough, have enough, be enough, do anything about it, be enough to actually get what it is that I'm looking for. And that's the whole concept of that entire book right there, is realizing that when you start to get away from God and start to do things and everything that just goes against what God is looking for from us, the more that you're just going to realize that it just doesn't matter. None of it matters. None of it matters. It's absolutely pointless. Having yourself 100 houses that you're renting and all this rental income, doing all this, it doesn't matter. Who cares? All of it is meaningless when you are not living by the commands of God. You can go out there and be something that I want to be able to do is have the dog sanctuary of the world. That all the dogs that nobody wants are here. Being able to have a chance to be able to rehabilitate them, get them working, get them nice, and get them put back out there, because not every dog, but every dog is a nice dog. I could say just specifically like that. Every dog is for somebody, and somebody needs that dog. That dog that's too aggressive for you, to the next person, they're like, actually, it's not aggressive enough. Can we get them a little more? And I'm like, yeah, we can work that dog to get what you need and what you're looking for. And a lot of times that's one of my goals, say, that I can have this huge thing, that I can have this swapperoo, that you don't like your dog because he's too soft. You want a tougher one, you want a softer one, and we could figure this out. We can get you dialed in and get you out. I could do all that and make it all so great and all so awesome and all so amazing. And if I'm not doing everything by the commands to be able to allow that to be able to be successful, it's all meaningless. It's not going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to happen from it. Nothing's going to advance from it. It's just going to go and wither and just completely just disappear. That's exactly what's going to happen to it. It's such an interesting thing, because in majority, that's something that I was listening to someone the other day talking about the whole generational wealth. That majority, there's I think like 4 people right now that still have money from before, like huge families. We're talking big money here. That generational wealth, when the children of that next first generation gets it, it's like if they don't make it disappear, for sure the grandkids make it disappear. It just doesn't last. It just disappears. And you got to wonder, why does it disappear? Why doesn't it last? Why is it that things are just not moving forward with it? And then it makes me really question, like the ones that still do have it, where they're the ones that the world today would say they're the most corrupt, most criminal, most just compromised people on the planet. But yet it's interesting that they're the only ones that are able to continue to keep that going. So they must be doing something right. They must be living by some sort of rules, some sort of commands, some sort of guidelines that they're sticking with to be able to have that, to be able to move that forward. Because it's the only way that it's going to move forward. If everything that you're doing is going against the commands, everything is just going to disappear. And everything is just pointless. Everything's not going to get anywhere, and nothing's going to happen from it. No one's going to care in the future about it. No one's going to be, oh my goodness, this is so great. It's something, I hate to say it like that, but it's something as simple as that. The guy that created the iPhones and all this stuff, who even thinks about them anymore? But we're just looking at these phones. We don't think about that person that made it anymore. And that was, 15 years ago or so that he passed away? No one's even thinking about him. We're just thinking about where we are now and what's happening now. Everything like that goes on this planet. That every single person that's been in the past, like 200-300 years, we don't remember them anymore. We remember like they did one little thing, and it's just like, oh, they're just whatever. It's very interesting how that works, because that's one real good way to be able to realize like what is truly meaningless out here, and everything that you're working so hard to do, so hard. You're working so hard to be that one. You're working so hard to be that CEO, to create that company, to do this and to do that. You're working so hard to make all that happen, to come into the end and to realize that what's the point? What's the point? Because you can't, because that's the one thing that he states in there, that he says in there, that I just know is a very, very powerful statement. He said, you came to this world naked. You came here with nothing. You came here whining and crying, a little baby, with absolutely nothing. And what do you think you're going to leave here with on the day that you pass away? You're going to leave here naked. You're going to leave here whining and crying. You're going to leave here with absolutely nothing. So everything that you do, you have to make sure the things that you're working upon and things that you're really trying to figure out, the things that you're really focused in and dialed in on, are going to be something that's going to be able to give you the future success after you're naked and have nothing. Because that's one thing that is just very powerful, that Jesus says as many times. He says, just give up your riches, give up your wealth, and then come on over here. That's why he says that it's hard for a rich person to be able to come on and be able to understand who God is. Because you got to leave behind everything. When you die, you leave behind everything. You're not able to bring anything along with you. So when you're doing everything you can and worshiping all that you can, all these material items and all this stuff, and you're just focusing on that and dialed in on that, you can't take it with you. And if you're doing all that in a way of not really even say like giving the authority to God, saying that's why you had that, that's why this is here, you're going to watch it disappear. You're just going to watch everything that you work so hard for disappear. And it's unfortunate that there's many stories in this Bible that state that's happened to people. And I don't even need to read that far back with those people that did it, but just look at people of today. of just what's been going on with where we are right now. With some people that are just super wealthy, that gave it to the kids, and it's gone. They're gone. They disappear. Nothing's ever even said. Nothing's heard about it, and the people just completely disappear. And it's unfortunate, but there's certain like say even basketball stars and football stars and hockey stars and all these people. They were like the best of the best, the greatest of the greatest, and then they pass away, and it's just like, oh, we don't even talk about them. We don't think about them. We don't even reference about them. We don't even do nothing about them. But when they're alive, they were just like, oh, they were on it. So it's very interesting that the day that we pass away, what are you going to be able to bring forward? What are you bringing next? What are you bringing to the table? What information are you going to be able to make sure that you've said and you've done that's going to be able to allow the next to be able to realize how great and how great and how magnificent God is, to be able to move them and pursue them, to be able to move forward in life? Or are you just worrying so much about collecting items, about having more and more relationships with just strange and meaningless people, to be able to think that that's going to be able to bring you something absolutely great? I think that there's a situation today going on with a lot of young guys that are feeling left out, I guess I could say. Like the girls are passing us up and not paying attention to us. And it's like, if that's what you're focusing your energy on the most, you're messing up right now. You're putting all your energy into something that is just going to pass away, as opposed to something that is going to live on forever. And the day that you decide to pay more attention to the things that are going to be able to live on forever, that's when you're going to be able to have all the things that you're looking for, because you're setting things up for your absolute future of where you're going to go. And you're not setting up for the right here, right now, because I just need, I want, and I desire, and I'm lacking, and I'm not getting. Not realizing that God is going to be able to fill all of those, that lacking, that hole that you have. He's going to fill all of that. And once that's filled, that's when you're going to be able to have someone be able to come in and be able to do something with you. And that comes down to any and everything. That comes down to the whole concept of money even. The day that you are full and satisfied with what you have, and you say, God, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be able to have what I have. Thank you for giving to me what I have. Thank you for allowing me to be able to be where I'm at. As soon as you are extremely grateful, super thankful, and just appreciative of the fact of where you are and what's going on with you, now we're going to be able to move into doing something different and going into something great. But if you're always in this I don't knows and I don't cares and I don't have enough and this sucks and this ain't no good, I mean, just you're going to stay in that. You're going to stay in that. And you're going to realize that everything that you've done is meaningless, because you're going to come to the point in the time of the day that you're going to, it's just what it is. We get sick and then we die. And then you're going to get to the point that you get sick and you're going to look around at all your riches. You're going to have all these gold chains on, all these diamonds on you, and you're going to be sitting in a hospital bed, and you're going to be like, hey man, put that last chain on. For what? For what? For what? What are you going to gain from that? What are you going to get? What's going to happen with that? Because the day that you die, as soon as you die, you're going to have all them chains on, all them diamonds on, and then everyone that's standing around you in that office or in that room is going to look at you and say, yeah, that one's mine right there. That one's mine. That one's mine. And they're all just going to take it and strip it from you. They're going to take everything that you had and strip it from you, and then they're going to end up just selling it, getting rid of it, losing it, and it's just going to disappear. It's going to disappear into nothingness. As opposed to teaching somebody something that's going to be very, very valuable for them, to be able to figure out how to be able to learn, how to be able to grow on this planet, to be able to do something great. To realize that all of that is just not going to get you where you want to get to, but being able to pay attention to the commands that God has given us is the way to be able to get you to where you want to be able to get to. Because in most cases, what everyone is looking to do, what we're all out here doing, trying to get more and go more and buy a better car and buy a better house and do all these things, is because we have something inside of us that we're just like, I need more. Because if I have that, I'm telling you I'll be happy. If I'm over there, I'm telling you I'll be happy. If I have that looking a significant partner with me, I'll be happy. If I had my dog looking like this, I'd be happy. If I was able to have my hairstyle and have my like this and grow my beard like this, then I'd be happy. As opposed to just realizing that that's already in you. That God can fulfill you and fill that inside of you to make that in you. So you don't have to try to go all in these external sources to try to get it. Because everything out here on this land is just meaningless. It just truly is. It's not going to give you what you want. It's just not. But once you have what you want inside of you, you're going to realize that's where it goes on both sides of this. That's where when you finally are full, when God does finally say to you, hey man, you're good to go. And you're like, I am good. I do have enough. I do have everything I need. I am satisfied. I am happy. I do have peace. I do feel fulfilled. I do have joy. I do have all these things. And then you're going to look at the things that you thought you wanted and said, actually, I don't want that anymore now. I don't want that car. I don't want that house. I don't want that partner. I don't want my dog to look like that. That's just too much maintenance. It's too much work. That's too much extra for me to have to keep on worrying about and working on. I'm happy with what I have. And it's very interesting that you're going to start letting go of all those things that you thought that you wanted, of the material thing that are absolutely meaningless on this planet, because the more and more that you build of it, what are you going to do in the end with it? I'm telling you, you're not going to do anything in the end with it. It's something that a lot of us should really, really think about, because when you're full, you don't need all of that, because you're going to look at it like that's stupid. When you see your neighbor get a brand new truck, you're going to say, dude, that payment, man, you know what you could be doing with that? You could be this, and just loving life and living life. Instead, you're just a slave to something. You're a slave to that house now because you decide, I want it more, I need it bigger, I need it better, so that I can have my better Instagram photos of it, and I need to keep on this, and I need to keep on that, and you're just a slave to it. You're stuck. You're not able to do anything that you want to do because you're just all consumed into that. And then that's what I'm going to say. Once you realize that what you have is good, you're going to be happy where you are, and if not anything, like feel like I kind of have too much. I want to figure out how to be able to give some of this away. And that's the concept of where Jesus really starts to talk and things get really interesting, because that's when you have it in you of just saying, you know what, you guys can all have it. I don't care. I don't need it. Just, I got what I need. I'm good to go. I got enough. I got some food today. Hopefully have some food, but God's telling me I'll have some food tomorrow, some water tomorrow, and I'll have somewhere to stay and somewhere to be able to rest my head and somewhere to be able to do things. I got enough that you're going to give it all up. You're going to give it all away, and then you're going to move forward. And that's the part of the story that I don't think that a lot of people are really paying attention to with that. You're saying, oh, you're just rich. Why don't you sell it, give it to the poor? What is that? What does the matter of that? The matter of that is where your heart is with it, where your heart is saying, I'm good, I'm satisfied. I don't need that to be happy. I don't need that to have joy. I don't need that to be living in peace. I need that to try and get the peace. I need that to try and get so that's where you're going to run into the problems. And that's why he states that it's hard for the rich man to do what he do, because you're stuck on your possessions. And it's not even just a rich man, but a lot of us don't really have much. And the little bit that we do have, we don't want to let it go, because we think that we need it to be able to something. And that's where we really should do our best to get away from, to realize that living by God's commands is more than enough, because it's all that he's looking for from us. And it's, in reality, so far, it's my understanding, it's all that we've been put here to do. We haven't been really put here to do too much more than just that. That's the main thing that he just keeps stating, until he comes back and tells us the new book and the new rules of the new place. Then we worry about that. But as far as where we are and what's going on here right now, our job right now is to live by the commands and to share that, not even, just to live by the commands. And the most interesting thing is, it's not your works, but when you come to time of wanting to get closer to God and you start to really understand him and things start to come to you and you start to be able to get the joy that you wanted inside of your heart, you have it in yourself to just try to explain that to somebody else. You want to share that information with as many people as possible, because you come to realize, like, it's actually not complicated. It's not complicated. Everyone out here wants to make it so complicated. Why is it so complicated? Why you got this, and it's not that complicated. It's very, very, it's simple and easy, but it's some things that we got to work on that are going to be able to allow us to make it more simple and more easier. But it's a matter of just not doing too much. And we're always out here trying to find that next thing to be able to bring us that happiness, as opposed to just realizing that once we start to just dial in and understand ourselves better, that's when we're going to be able to get that success that we want. I don't know what it is, but it's just very interesting that I just keep on, when I listen to people that I used to listen to and go back and try to do a little bit of studying and what someone else is talking about, it just confuses me, because no one's talking about this anymore. Everyone's just, if you give money, then God's going to give you some greatness and some awesomeness, and you're going to have an abundance. You're going to be able to drive a Ferrari if you tithe every month. And that's not a commandment of God. And it's being pushed real hard. Then at the same time, it's if you don't do this, then God's going to kill you. He's going to this and this and this. And it's like, there's some truth to that. But it's a matter of what you're not doing. Because in reality, the more than likely the thing that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing is too much that you should just be refraining from. And it's very interesting, these messages that are just being spread today, that I don't know if y'all are reading the same book that I'm reading. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if you're reading the book and still doing things that you know you're not supposed to be doing, and that's confusing you and putting you in a level of absolute mass confusion. Because you're trying to read a book of how to be able to get peace and how to be able to get the joy that you're looking for, but yet you're still doing all the things that you know you shouldn't be doing. So you're going to be double-minded. You're going to be very, very confused. So then your message is going to be pushed towards trying to put excuses on your own self and trying to make it okay for the things that you do. So when the Bible is stating to have a Sabbath day, for instance, to have a day of rest, just chill, just to relax, and you can't do that. You try to do everything in your power to basically like try to state that, oh, it's okay. So, you know, here this verse says that it's all right to this and it's all right to that. And this verse says it's okay. And that's something that, I mean, I can go all the way down to to a serious one of the murder. And that goes on like crazy today in the church, where someone would say, oh, I'm pro-life and I'm is it choice? Choice? Yeah. Pro-life or pro-choice. And they're just stuck on and depending on if you're a person that's living in a way of sin, that's living in a way of not doing what you know you're supposed to be doing, because it strictly says not to murder, and you're just doing what you're doing and you're advocating for people to be able to murder. So you're running into a situation where you're finding every Bible verse you can to try to fit what you want, as opposed to just making the Bible be what it is. And that's something that is getting very, very interesting today, I'm going to say, is what I constantly keep on seeing. And it's something that I don't know why. But the main reason that I do know that this is happening is because it's hard to not pay attention to what your neighbor is doing. It's hard when you're looking at your, like say even for instance on YouTube, when you're looking at your views and your counts and your subscribers and you're just like, oh my goodness, it's not where I want it to be. It's easy for you to give a message knowing what people are going to want, because it's going to make them say feel good in the moment, but it's not going to give them what they actually need. It's just going to give them what they want to just you're awesome, girl. Go out there. You're gonna get that job. You're gonna get that promotion. You're gonna get that man. You're gonna find that husband. You're good, man. You're gonna get that car. You're gonna get that house. You're gonna get that land. As opposed to realizing like, what do you got to do to be able to get that? Not just preaching this message of God is gonna, your magic genie. He's gonna give you all your wishes that you want, all your desires that you want. There's not a single page in this Bible that God does that for us. There's not a single page that he says that that's what he's here for us. There's not a single representation. There's not a single story of anybody out here that is even desiring and wanting that. And there's one person, what is it, Sam? I'm not even gonna say that name. But there's one person, it starts with an S though. There's one person that asked, God was gonna give him what he was looking for. And then he said, I want, Solomon, there we go. He said, I want the wisdom. He's like, oh, you didn't ask me for no riches. You didn't ask me for no fame. You didn't ask me for no wealth. You want that? And he's like, that's what I want. And he gave it to him. And then he also gave him the riches because he's like, you know what? You pretty stand up man. I appreciate you for saying that, wanting that, desiring that. And that's something of a story that we should pay very, very close attention to. Because if God was able to bless him and then extra bless him because of what he was asking for, maybe that's what we should be asking for. Maybe these things that we read in here and God was able to do for them, maybe we should be doing that. Maybe we should be praying for some more wisdom. Even though in Ecclesiastes he says, hey, wisdom is meaningless. But it's a matter of what type of wisdom. The wisdom of how to be able to gain riches on this planet, because that's what he's talking about. How to be able to gain the wealth on this planet, how to be able to gain more of the pleasures on this planet, or the wisdom of how to be able to get into the good graces of God, how to be able to hear from God, how to be able to understand from God, how to be able to get to other people with yourself through God, how to be able to allow him to be able to move, to be able to get to people. And that's what he was asking for. That's what he was looking for. How can I help these people? Because they have issues. They have court issues. That was one of the first things that came to him. When the lady was like, oh, she killed her baby and my baby's alive and her baby died and took my baby. What do we do here? Because that's my baby and she's saying it's her baby. And he says, okay, well, let's just cut the baby in half and give y'all both each half. And he's like, obviously that's going to kill a child. But coming to the realize, she's like, oh, we're not, like, he's serious. He's not joking. He's serious here. He's like, let's do that because y'all can't figure it out. And then the girl said, okay, actually, this is her daughter. Go ahead, take your baby. You can have your baby. He wanted the understanding of how to be able to help people out with the issues and the problems that are going on the planet. That's something that we should be praying and asking God for. How can I help the problems? How can I help people get out of their addictions? How can I help people get through sticky situations in their marriages? How can I help people figure out how to be able to raise their children in a better way? How can I help people with their animals? How can I help people with anything and everything possible on this planet that we're struggling and hurting with? And that's when you're going to be able to find the riches and the glories and the fame that's going to come along with that. But you're not seeking that. You're seeking to fix the problem. You're seeking for being a solution to a problem. And then once you get really, really good at being that solution, because he got really, really good at being able to be the guy that people come to and ask him, man, you got the answers. And when you have the answers to people's problems, that's when people are going to come to you with all their riches. And then they're going to transfer it and give it to you. And that's the wisdom that we should be seeking. And we seeking that based on living by the commands that God has given us. That's all that we need to do. And what's his name? Solomon? Yeah, Solomon was able to gain and do because he had God being able to work with him, very, very close with him, and being able to do so much for him. Because in reality, his brothers was trying to cut him out. It was like, because he's the son of David, the next guy, the king after David. His brothers was like, I'm the king, I'm the king, I'm the king. And then he had to get himself in there. And David himself had to say, whoa, 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 he is. I know that you think you are, and you think you tough, and you think you strong, but you not. Because your heart's not right. His heart is right. He's on the right mission. He's on the right way to go. And it's something that him being in his heart right means that he understood the commands. He understood the laws. He understood God. And God understood him because of that. And that's why he's able to be in the position that he's in. That we're not going to put someone in power that is just absolute chaos, absolute maddening, unless it is in a way of God getting back at his people because his people aren't listening. And that's what I would say is kind of going on today. We got people in power that are just oppressing us, oppressing everybody, making it hard on everybody, challenging everybody, because we don't want to listen to God. When we all collectively stand up together and we get back on the commandments and understand and get away from the idea that it's not just normal to do these things. It's not normal for us to be out here, for guys to be wearing dresses. It's not normal for girls to, I don't know what girls today just do whatever they want to do. It's not normal for girls to be out here taking your girlfriend's husbands away. It's not normal, but today that's like normal. We've normalized all of these things, and all these things are so normal that it's in all of our movies, all of our TV shows. It's just everywhere. It's so normal. We need to get away from what we think is normal that is just destroying us and get us back into where we need to go. When we get back into where we go, and we get enough people on a collective group to get back into where we go, you're going to realize that some great things are going to happen on this planet, because we're no longer going to need these kings and these rulers and these people doing all this stuff. That we will understand that God is the king, that God is the ruler, that God is the overall, the one overall seer that we all should be worshiping and paying attention to. Not paying attention to the United States government, not paying attention to none of these things. Not paying attention to no dictator, no person, no human being, no anything. But they have so much power because of how normal we have made our society and made our lives to just disrespect all the commandments. And with that, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for every day I hear the same thing. And since I hear the same thing, I got to say the same thing every day. Because every day I keep on reading more and more in the Bible, and every single day, I'm going to say that every day, no matter where I'm at in this Bible, no matter where I can flip a page to, somewhere around it, I will find God saying, pay attention to my commands, live by my commands, live by what it is that I'm looking for from you. And then you're going to be able to find what it is that you need. I can just flip through here and just find that said over and over and over again. It's just a very interesting thing. So this is like, here's the end of the book of Matthew, because the book of John is the one that I really, really appreciate, where he says, when he talks about the whole concept of what it is that God is looking for from us, when everyone was just asking him. I don't know why I have that book just so much more memorized than any other of the Matthew, Mark, and Luke. But the book of John is very, very interesting to me. It's very fascinating to me. It's very, very eye-opening to me, because it gives, to me, I guess I memorize it more because the other three are almost all the same. But this one it gives a different side of the story, a different understanding, a different picture, a different view. And it's very, very interesting, because Jesus is very, very clear with what it is that we should be doing and where we should be going and what we should be focusing our time on. He makes it very clear and very obvious, very all out in the open, for all of us to be able to understand, for all of us to be able to figure out, for all of us to be able to know. And it's not something that's some hidden information. And it's not something that we're not creating no new stuff here. We're doing what it is that we should be doing. And what we should be doing as human beings on this planet is living by God's commands. Thank you. Hey, Johnny, your ear is all jammed up. You gonna fix your ear? Heal? You know I didn't throw it. You're such a good boy. Okay. Hey, Shadow. homie.